To start off our day, please welcome the Honorable Gilberto Teodoro, Jr., Philippine Secretary of National Defense, Dr. Anshu Roy, founder and CEO of Rhombus Power, and our moderator, Ylber Bajraktari, Vice President for Policy at SCSP, for a discussion on delivering peace and security in the Indo-Pacific.
Good morning, everyone. To our audience here, good evening to Secretary Teodoro, where it's a little past 9 p.m. Manila time. Really appreciate him joining us. Thank you for joining us. We apologize we're running a few minutes late, but I appreciate you being here. Special apologies to Secretary Teodoro. Sorry, sir. Appreciate you taking time this late in the evening to join us. But it's really a great honor for us at SCSP and for me personally to have the opportunity to welcome Secretary Teodoro and Dr. Anshu Roy, the founder and CEO of Rhombus Power, for a discussion on delivering peace and security in the Indo-Pacific. And I cannot think of two better leaders to talk about the vital importance of innovation and national security and the interplay of the two in the Indo-Pacific region than Secretary Teodoro and Dr. Roy. They are both pioneers and champions of bold and innovative solutions to some of the most pressing challenges in one of the most vital regions of the world. And I cannot think of a better bookend to the conversation we started on the morning of day one, when we welcomed the Vice President of Taiwan and the Indo-PACOM Commander, Admiral Samuel Paparo. So truly an honor to be joined by you both. Secretary Teodoro, I would like to start with you, sir, please. Tomorrow, if my math is correct, it marks the second-year anniversary since President Marcos appointed you as the Secretary of National Defense of the Philippines. But this is also your second time serving in this position. You served previously in 2007-2009. Can you just share with the audience here your sense of how much has changed in the region, not just from when you were last secretary, but just over these past 2 years as well? What's your assessment of the security situation, particularly the threat of the PRC aggression that you're facing in the West Philippine Sea and its immediate region?
Thank you, Ylber. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Anshu. Thank you for the invitation. In 2007, the Philippines was faced with a separatist movement in the southern Philippines and a communist terrorist movement. And those were the major security concerns of the Philippines. Now we are faced with a drastically different environment. There's relative peace in the southern Philippines. Communist terrorists are few and far between. And now we have an increasingly aggressive and expansive China, which has been as aggressive as it is unpredictable. And it has expanded its actions not only in the West Philippine Sea, or as you know, the eastern portion of the South China Sea, but also in the East Sea against Japan and South Korea. It has also been operating in the second island chain and in waters beyond, just like its exercises off the coast of New Zealand and Australia. So right now, I believe that the threats and the volatility that the region sees has been unparalleled since perhaps the Vietnam era, or even preceding that, where China was also heavily involved in financing separatist and Marxist rebellions. Right now, what China wants really from the Philippines is territory and control over territory. And in that, it is unrelenting. Even in India, on the Indo-Pacific side, we see concerns by India about Chinese behavior. And the other day in the Shangri-La Dialogue, several European defense ministers called out the influence by China in cyber operations, in improper appropriation of technology, and in actually providing a lifeline to whom we may, in the Philippines and with its partners, call undesirable state and unstate actors. So the situation has changed different, needing a different toolbox, or toolkit rather, and a toolkit which works on a more efficient resource allocation model and a speedier decision time frame. The risks also are greater, and with the interconnection between conflicts in Europe, in the Middle East, and in the Philippines, the decision nexus becomes tighter actually. And therefore, we view our maneuvering space to be extremely tight in view of the so-called head start that China has made. Let me give you an example. It's like China took over your reserved parking slots in your parking area and beyond. So your maneuver space is extremely tight. And what also compounds the problem is the opacity and the lack of transparency that China has in its governance with vis-a-vis us, who are allies and like-minded partners who are totally transparent. And another complexity is that China is able to take advantage of the freedom of speech and of the press that we have in areas where it wants to exert influence while denying the same in its own backyard. So we are faced not only with military might, but also with influence operations, with internal subversion by way of improper alien influence by Chinese-sponsored agents in our national economy, in domestic politics, in creating a mindset of gaslighting that if we stand up for our rights, we are making ourselves a target for the imminent, which is definitely something that we have to push back on. Let me also tell you that amongst all the ASEAN countries, the Philippines ranks #1 in the vulnerability to climate change and to natural calamities. And this is also an area of national security which affects us dearly, particularly when you have to spend for keeping people safe, keeping them well, and rehabilitating damaged infrastructure on a tight budget. So on all these factors, we see an increased risk, basically. So risk management really is a big challenge at this time, particularly when faced with two unpredictable actors, China and nature.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, for this sobering and comprehensive overview. Truly appreciate it. And I want to follow up on a few themes, particularly you mentioned the tools. So if I may turn to you, Dr. Roy, next. You and Rhombus Power had uniquely predicted the Russian aggression of Ukraine, I think to within 24 hours of it happening. And we had this conversation back then in our offices at SCSP, using solely open source data and the AI-powered tools that you have developed. Can you share with us what some of those tools are and how may those tools be useful in the context of the Indo-Pacific region and the challenges that Secretary Teodoro spoke of?
Yeah, absolutely. Secretary Teodoro, it's so good to see you. Thank you for making the time, and thank you, Ylber, for organizing this, and Eli and SCSP, thank you very much. When I hear Secretary Teodoro talk about the threat landscape for the Philippines, what is evident to me is you need a systems approach, an approach where you can account for Chinese offensive operations, Chinese information operations, Chinese influence operations, and also figure out ways to anticipate what an adversary of that scale and magnitude is about to do. Because let's face it, I mean, you can't possibly, countries of the size of Philippines or even India can't possibly buy enough weapons to counter China. It's not going to happen anytime soon. But what we can do is we can win in the cognitive domain. We can win by telling them that we know what they're up to. We can win by campaigning very hard, buying enough time to actually run those campaigns in the information domain, to set up the right narratives for synchronization in the Southern Pacific, in the Southeast Asia, and so on, so that the world can send the message, the US and its allies and partners can send the message to China that you need to stop. Okay, so how can we help? All the things I just mentioned, from anticipating Chinese behavior, whether it is political or it's economic or it's military or it's diplomatic and so on, our capability called Ambient does that. In addition, we anticipate cyber operations, space operations, information operations, and influence operations. We cover the entire spectrum. We do not leave anything to chance. And this has been a journey of 10 years of building this and testing it, and again and battle testing it. And now I am 100% convinced this is going to work for every single country in the world. And I'm going to choose who we give this to, naturally. And so part of this is our relationship with the Philippines and Secretary Teodoro and the President there to figure out ways in which we can be helpful to counter the very large behemoth called China.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Roy. Mr. Secretary, if we could go to you next. Under your and President Marcos' leadership, the Philippines have been actively updating your defense strategy, enhancing your capabilities, expanding security cooperation with partners and allies. Can you share with us what are some of those key reforms that you have been personally leading since taking over the ministry? And what role do you see specifically for advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, like the tools that Dr. Roy talked about?
Yes. We have firstly expanded our area of proactive operations and influence to include our maritime domain, which includes our EEZ and our extended continental shelf. That alone is 2 million square kilometers of area. Our coastline per se, which is covered within our archipelagic baselines, is 36,000 kilometers. So the area of operations is definitely vast, and because of the fact that we have a threat and we need to preserve the integrity of our maritime and land areas and our airspace in order for us to not only to explore and exploit, but to steward what little we have left because of sea level rise, because of an increasing population annually for the future generations. So we have the comprehensive archipelagic defense concept, where whereas before we had a post-invasion defensive scenario, which the basis for the same does not exist anymore, because you have threats that are not anymore conventional, which is obvious, and it took some time for people here to realize it. And once we took over, we took a deep dive on our strategic moorings and recalibrated it, reintroduced it. So what this involves will be a combination of several inputs. Number one is new skill sets of people, because everything boils down to people. re-education, reappreciation of what an agile, multi-domain, multi-threat armed forces means for a developing country with shrinking supply chains that are tight and with costs rising. Secondly, capabilities. Naturally, a lot of this will be infrastructure capabilities, our weapon systems, secure telecommunications, digitalization of a lot of our processes, and domain awareness becomes very, very important. And lastly, deterrence capabilities. Also very important in order to leverage synergies to counteract scale. Are important alliances which we make. We have our treaty partner, the United States, and now we have agreements with Australia, Japan, New Zealand, Canada, and we are negotiating one with France. We also cooperate with a lot of partners on maritime cooperative activities. So the point being is that our fight is not merely solely a preservation one in the Philippine domain, but an international fight. And the rubric which joins all of us is the preservation of the rules-based order and international law and UNCLOS, and the fight not to allow China on its stated goal of reshaping the international order. Of course, the activity by China is couched in peaceful and brotherly language, but the best evidence of how peaceful they are is what they're doing to us, or those that disagree. Now, where does artificial intelligence and allied technological advancements come in? With our resource base, as small as it is comparatively, and as Anshu had said, that we can not even see approximating China's military might in the near future, what we need to create is a deterrence. And that's what we're doing. Now, with a limited resource base, the risk management of deployment of resources becomes more and more crucial. And coupled with the fact that in my agency, we have to balance assets and resources between climate change and humanitarian assistance and disaster response and the military operations per se. We need to be able to predict phenomena that normal intelligence analysts may miss, and artificial intelligence becomes a tool for decision makers to make a resource allocation or a policy choice, or for a theater commander an operational decision, and down the line with more accuracy. Secondly, you save on costs by doing so, because what will take, it's just like the slide rule and the computer. With intelligence analysis right now, it's done by, of course, you can never divorce yourself from the human element, but it's a massive human activity, from intelligence gathering to analysis to its distribution with the AI model. And as you go on, you can leverage capacity versus physical size. So what we want is to have the capacity and the capability in a smaller, brighter, smarter package, which we can afford, which we can use, and with user feedback, it becomes better. So it definitely brings us up the ladder in a competitive manner with less resources than were we to stockpile a whole arsenal of defensive or offensive weaponry. So that is the importance of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies for a small country. So it balances the asymmetry that we see right now. So it is vital for smaller countries, not only the Philippines. We have Lithuania, Estonia, the Scandinavian countries. We have the Czech Republic, Poland, all trying to leverage, while the rest of industrial Europe try to catch up. Ukraine is an example of resilience because of technology, not only artificial intelligence, but other advanced technologies. Nobody thought that they would last for this long. But because of the capacity that artificial intelligence provides in a small package, then you see resilience. And it will make a potential bad actor think twice before doing something bad. And it will also help us save badly needed resources when we are faced with a calamity. And we need to make a prediction of who will get hit the worst.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Dr. Roy, we just heard the Secretary talk about how AI can help them with both national security challenges, civil challenges, climate change, other aspects of it. Can you maybe offer the perspective from, as a founder of one of the premier AI companies and a technologist here, can you offer your perspective in terms of how can you help countries in the region? And I know you travel quite a bit over there. I think you just came back last week from the region. So how can AI help address some of these challenges that the Secretary laid out?
Yeah, I came back and I'm going back again. So yes, I do spend a lot of time in Asia, and he's absolutely right. Secretary Teodoro is absolutely right. Countries that are just getting started in their journey of using their resources, generally limited, to build their apparatus for intelligence should not pick up the bad habits of the West. They should be very careful, because our enterprise here is a legacy of the capabilities and technologies available not today, but literally like 50, 80 years ago, right? And so we are still carrying the inertia of that. And we're transforming, sure, slowly but surely we're changing here in America. Countries like the Philippines, like India, have the opportunity. It's completely greenfield. They don't need to rethink. They need to reinvent the way they do intelligence, the way they do operations, the way they do logistics, the way they plan their money, all of those pieces. Everything can be AI powered. Yes, talent development is a very important aspect of it. But the beauty of it is that the augmentation that AI gives can actually help even the current talent base do a far better job than what they would be able to do, or what even a very sophisticated organization in America would be able to do without artificial intelligence. But key to all that, foundational to all of this, is not even the foundational model. It is the foundational data. And that is where we focus very hard on. Globally, collect so much, curate so much, connect so much, and do it all in an automated fashion that the data itself becomes an intelligent database. I'm not saying an intelligence database, which is generally siloed. This is an intelligent database. And that feeds, now you can put your foundational models on top of it, and you can put all kinds of sophisticated predictive models on top of it, reasoning models on top of it. You can start talking about AGI or whatever. I honestly couldn't care less what really matters is that now this has the ability to take data that is fundamentally accurate, as accurate as it can be, and it can reveal to you where the hotspots are developing, and then you can direct your limited resources towards those hotspots. And do it all so that there is sufficient time for intervention. That's at the heart of our philosophy of what we are trying to do and what Secretary Teodoro is trying to do in the Philippines.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Roy. Mr. Secretary, perhaps the final question before it becomes way too late in Manila. And again, thank you for joining us this late.
No worries. I'm enjoying the exchange.
Okay, I appreciate it. You talked about China's aggressiveness on the military and sort of the territorial conquest side. As we know, China can be also very aggressive when it comes to its own manufacturing, economics, pushing its technological products. So what's your sense in terms of the competition between Chinese-made and Chinese-pushed products and those that are made and offered by allies, the US, whether it be US, the Philippines? I know you've placed quite a bit of emphasis on self-sufficiency and indigenous production of some of these capabilities. So can you just give us a sense of, for your part of the world, who is sort of winning that technological contest in terms of the future of AI and adoption and some of these other capabilities?
It is undeniable that China has made great strides in its technological capability and its capabilities in hard military assets, like to be able to deploy 2 carriers and soon 3 carriers simultaneously, and to have increased frequency of carrier-borne operations is something else. And if we see what happened in the recent conflict between India and Pakistan, it signals certainly some or substantial improvement in their technological capability. Now, what I see still is that a lot of countries feel secure with, particularly with cyber, data, and technological capabilities that liberal democracies offer. Why? Because there is governance behind the process. And the governance assures the user that the same will not be used in a way it was not originally designed to be used. Now, in having the comfort of an arm's length transaction and governance, there lies the deficit with China. And I reiterate what I said in the Shangri-La dialogue the other day. China has a deficit of trust in its goodwill, its reputation, particularly also in the commercial sphere. Right now, when you would like to have a process, whatever it is, executed in China, manufacturing-wise or whatnot, you always have a doubt whether or not you will be reverse engineered, whether intellectual property rights will be protected. And by the way, I should say too that the amount of speculative and reported intellectual theft of technology by China from the West shows where the competitive advantage lies. The West, and I mean liberal democracies. And with the Indo-Pacific, what I can see is 4 equipment or capabilities which can be deployed in en masse, less reliability, cheaper cost, more visibility. Of course, the Chinese and the erstwhile Russian market was there. However, for quality, for vendee or user confidence, there is no match for now. And China will keep its best for itself. It will not sell. And that is why before you acquire also from Western countries or liberal democracies, there is a strict vetting process too. So with other countries, there's no vetting process, but you don't know what you're getting.
Great.
So I think the West still has an advantage. And if there is any truth to the rumor that Vietnam wants F-16s, that is telling. That is very telling. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Dr. Roy, final word from you.
I just want to say thank you. I'm very grateful for you guys to organize this thing, and this event has been amazing. And Secretary Teodoro, thank you so much for making the time for us. I know it's very late for you. You inspire me every single day, and I look forward to our next meeting.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Well, please join me in thanking Secretary Teodoro from Manila and Dr. Roy here on stage.